and welcome to One Take. I'm Dale Kurschner. One Take is a 10-minute discussion in which one CEO provides his or her take on how best to deal with the most pressing business and economic issues of our day. It's also called One Take because it's one conversation that goes for 10 minutes with no edits. One Take is brought to you today by the Platinum Group, which for nearly 40 years has specialized in helping businesses navigate through challenging times ranging from selling their businesses, raising capital, and refinancing, to surviving through tough legal and HR challenges, financial setbacks, and other crisis situations. Today, I'm pleased to introduce you to Jeff Kiesel, CEO of Restaurant Technologies Incorporated, one of the nation's largest companies specializing in delivering and recovering cooking oil used for commercial purposes. Think about Burger King, McDonald's, other fast food restaurants, but they also provide this for convenience stores, grocery stores, colleges and universities, hotels, restaurants, casinos, and commercial food service businesses. Restaurant Technologies' hallmark is total oil management that includes installing equipment inside these kitchens that provides fresh cooking oil and recovers the cooking oil all almost automatically, so that the chefs can do what they do best and not have to worry about what can be a very messy process of managing all this oil. Jeff's been with the company since 2005 and has grown it tremendously since then. He's also sold it successfully more than once to private equity investors who have seen him as a valuable asset to continue to grow this company. And that means Jeff's also seen quite a few challenges over those years during different economic situations that have come and go. So Jeff, welcome to One Take.
Thanks, Dale. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. You know, comparing today to some of the things you've seen, including the Great Recession, what are some of the things that you've used in the past that have helped you navigate through this coronavirus situation that we're all facing?
Dale, it's the two situations are similar and disparate. On the Great Recession was a challenge for us as we were going through a significant cultural change at the same time that we entered into a financial challenge. And we had to deal with both of those simultaneously. Here with COVID, we were having a record quarter, and then all of a sudden the economy stopped. During the Great Recession, it was very public, very macro, that what was going on. The COVID situation was much more confusing and also rapid. Within a matter of days, we actually had the same playbook that we used to deal with the financial crisis and the cultural challenges. And both times we started with what are our guiding principles as we meet this challenge. The guiding principles in both cases was that we will share the pain with all across the organization. So executives took pay cuts, took on more responsibilities to match roughly the pain of our frontline hourly workers, what they were experiencing with reduced hours and sometimes reduced pay. And the other thing was we knew we were going to come out of this. So we need to maintain customer service and we need to maintain our growth engines. So while we had to adjust the number of salespeople we're selling, we also made sure we kept the best and we had geographic coverage in both situations. And the other part of it was the discipline of scenario planning. We looked at our business in the best case, worst case, or manageable case. And each time we looked at the scenario plans, we changed and reduced our fixed costs at our worst case business model. And in this COVID situation, that was probably 70% loss in oil volume sales. Our base case was roughly 40 to 50% oil revenue loss. And there is how we managed our variable cost. And then we also had a cash flow challenge. As we're looking at such a reduction in revenue, you had to look at your cash flow. And in those scenarios, we were probably very conservative, probably in between our worst case and our base case. And all of that has worked out quite well thus far. So again, guiding principles and then scenario planning, absolutely mandatory. And the communication across the organization was very consistent. Our frontline drivers and service techs had the same information that we shared as well as with our executives.
Jeff, how many people did you need to furlough or let go, and how did you deal with that? Did you do it all in one full swoop right away, or did you try to kind of see how things went the first few weeks?
Great question. One of the things that we could change our variable costs very rapidly. We have technology that tells us how much oil our customers use, and we centrally manage our drivers and our techs. So we could centrally reduce hours and react very quickly. So that allowed us to, on the fixed cost side, we did one fell swoop. And it was roughly 12% of our employees on that side were reduction in force. On the furlough, it ranges between 100 and 120 folks that have been furloughed as we managed, especially on the hourly level, how much hourly demand of work we had with the hourly work that was scheduled. So it was significant.
And just so people have a sense for context, how many employees did you have before COVID hit, and how many locations around the country?
We have 41 locations around the country, all of which are operational. We have 1,200 positions before COVID, and we took about 15% of that out.
Okay. How about PPP? Have you used that at all? And if so, how has it worked for you?
We absolutely, no, we have not used it. This is the financial, we have not used that at all. We looked at it. There was too many, non-financial measures in there that didn't make any sense for us.
Have you used any other stimulus funding that's been offered by the government?
We have not. We aggressively took down our revolver as soon as things started to go wrong. And we are actually out raising some debt currently.
Okay. So, I've wondered about the different categories of businesses that you serve. I think, when I think about colleges and universities, obviously they've been pretty hard hit. But
Yeah.
What sectors have been working well for you and for your company in terms of still needing your services?
Our quick serve restaurant customers had declined roughly 18 to 19%, but now they're back at just 5% less than they were in January and February. So quick serve, where folks either get delivered or just do the drive-through, has done quite well, be that with burgers or chicken. Another strong segment for us is the whole retail aspect. So both grocery and convenience store have been very strong for us, plus or minus 5 or 10%. And then, as you mentioned, the hotels, the colleges and universities have been basically shut down. So it's the strength of couple of our segments have really made up for the loss in others.
Have you had to reshuffle or reorientate people then from one group of your business that they used to work on previously to these other areas? And if so, how has that worked?
We have our sales force, which are hunters and then more account manager types. The account management team has been able to spread out and cover more customers. So that's been better. And we also found that we've got, by doing it over the phone, we can be more efficient as well.
Yep. And, when it comes to leadership, some of the other folks I've talked with have said it's been pretty hard. They haven't been able to go into the office. They haven't been able to have that FaceTime with people. How have you adjusted your leadership at all to try to deal with the fact that you can't see people on a day-to-day basis?
That has been very difficult. The one thing that I added to my normal leadership style has been a daily COVID-19 email I sent to the whole organization. And that can cover anything from helping us sort out what's the economic situation, how's the Fed action and the different aid that's been sent out, how will that impact our industry and the economy as a whole would be a topic. Or literally could be someone that I talked to in the field, had a great story to tell. And I'll just tell that, heartwarming story or a tragic story. So that's really become a central aspect for how we communicate across the country. I also put into that daily email is what our COVID crisis team is doing each day. We're watching CDC, we're following the World Health Organization guidelines, who's opening, who's not opening, what's happening with trends. I do make sure that we're well educated across that board as well.
What are you guys forecasting when it comes to some of those lines of business that have flatlined coming back? What do you see in the next 6 to 12 months? For example, with colleges and universities.
Dale, the good news is this is so new that no matter what my forecast is, it'll be wrong. So let's just take a swing.
Yeah.
What we're hoping for is a nice, steady increase as our customers open up and serve their customers. That's happening thus far, but I would also say that 2 weeks is not a trend with what's going on right now. But we are planning for a slow recovery up to say 90%, 80 to 90% of our volume by the first quarter of 2021, with very cautiously watching these trends as we open up our economy, that if the second wave comes back, we need to react quickly. And our goal here, just like we went heading into COVID-19 and planning there, we want to stay a little bit behind the curve so that if a second wave does come back, we're not negatively affecting our employees too much.
In previous downturns, I've watched how companies have cut back their capital expenditures. They've cut back on R&D. They've cut back on hiring and also talent management initiatives. And as we come out of those situations and as we've recovered, some companies have really accelerated those things faster. Others kind of held back, thinking, well, we need to hold on to our cash more. We're still uncertain. How are you dealing with that right now? Have you cut all capital expenditures and all expansion funding, or have you just reduced it? But how are you playing that out when it comes to being careful not to grow too quickly or put too much money into those areas, but to also not stall?
Mm-hmm. So we did back on our initiatives that had capital investment to us. We usually have a group of 6 or 8 things that we're working on. Those we reduced except for the most critical going forward. With us, capital, since we own the equipment that we put into our customers for either oil or even our hood cleaning apparatus, auto mist, we are a heavily CapEx business, and it's all based on growth. So when we think of capital, we'll reduce maintenance capital as much as we possibly can, and we want to put all of our capital into growth. We are being pretty systematic about how we expect to come out of COVID-19. We have a rebound team, which is starting to work and learn from our customers currently. What are the value propositions of each one of our segments? Overall, we expect a lot of social distancing, which is going to change how we service our customers, perhaps. We expect safety of the frontline employee to be much more top of mind of our customers. And we also expect virtual and digitization communication to dominate versus face-to-face. So as we're doing that, we're looking at our operations and say, how can we service our customers more virtually? So we're going to look at our call center and see how we can get better at talking our customers through to maybe adjust our equipment where we didn't have to make a visit. It's a win-win for them and a win-win from us from a safety standpoint. We're also looking and right now training our sales force on how to sell digitally. How can we be more persuasive, more accurate in how we describe the value of what we do via the phone and with some online tools. And so those are 2 changes on rebound, but we're also investing in our business. We will be building out a chief marketing officer and a new marketing team, adding on to our current marketing team. We do believe that that's going to be a more efficient and effective way to reach our customers and also articulate our value proposition.
With the rebound team, just briefly, how many people are on that and who are the main leaders of your rebound team?
Our SVP of operations, Tim Curran, our SVP of M&A and product management, Tim Weber, are leading that respectively from a growth and an operations side, and keeping very, as what they're learning is transferring to our acceleration team, led by our CFO, Bob Weil, our head of sales, Jason Coco, and our new CMO to be hired over the next few weeks. So they're looking at what's going to go on in 2021 and 2022, and how do we develop our company's capabilities and competencies to win in the future.
Sounds great. Some people are just hunkering down right now. It's great to hear that you have all these growth initiatives going on and that you're doing all this research and really thinking about things the way you are. Has there been anything that you've done or tried with this situation that didn't work at first and that you had to kind of step back and say, okay, let's try this differently?
That's a good question. I would say we learned from 2009 and that we applied here is to do things fully and effectively and communicate the assumptions that we're making when we make decisions. Therefore, even if we're off by a little bit, okay, we're asking forgiveness and we're developing trust with our whole organization and our board so that let's understand our assumptions, let's learn from it, and then work forward.
Sounds good. Is there anything else that I should have asked you that I haven't asked you today?
Goodness. There's one thing that you mentioned in an earlier question is how do you manage talent in this virtual world? And discussing with my executive team, we're looking around and we're seeing, we believe we're as productive as we were before COVID and work from home, all stay-at-home initiatives. So we're anxious as we open up our headquarters sometime in June and we understand our people's needs from a safety standpoint. Do they want to work from home continuously? Do they have children at home that they need to stay at home? And we'll accommodate that. But I think it'll be a challenge when you have some folks at home and some folks in the workplace. That's going to be a difficult communication era, the communication methodology that we're a little bit concerned about, but we'll get through it. We have confidence in that. The other thing I've noticed is that our managers know our people much better now than they did in January and February. I think it's, the overall humanity and caring about one another, I think is going to raise our management game up to the next level.
I suppose it might also be because some of those Zoom meetings, you see people wearing their pajamas.
I am wearing shorts, Dale.
I thought that might be the case. Well, that's all the time we have today. Jeff, thank you very much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, Dale. Enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Thanks. I also want to thank our sponsor one more time today. The sponsor of this episode is the Platinum Group, which for 40 years has helped companies during turbulent times. If your business could use some advice or just a second opinion, you can learn more about the Platinum Group at theplatinumgrp.com. And thank you to all of you for tuning in or listening today. We'll see you or hear you next time on One Take.